What time is it? It's Packard Folks at time. Hat? Check. Shirt? Check. Pants? Optional. Mug? Double check. Check us out at cafepress.com/PackardPokesat where you can get all this great merchandise and more.
Do you like Packard Pokesat and want to hear it on demand and on the go? Download the free app today at Stitcher.com. Available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad.
This is Packard Pokesat, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokesat. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining me tonight from the far west coast is Connie, Practical Magic 9.
Wait, you told me you were going to play Freebird. Oh, damn it. Okay, I'll deal. All right. Hi.
No, I said I was going to play Free Ballin'. That's a different song altogether. Join us for the hill that is Illinois is Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist.
Hey, that's me.
Yes. And a guest host, and if you are in our chat room studio, you can feel free to join us. I will be posting a link here shortly, so you can join us, is John. He's all the way over from Sweden, so he stayed up really late to talk with us tonight as our special guest. And, of course, like I said, the chat room will be open for everybody or anybody who would like to come in, join us, and talk about freedom of speech, which is tonight's topic, actually.
Yes.
Which is freedom of speech, Trumpy style.
That would be freedom from speech.
Yeah, freedom from speech. Okay, everybody, let's
Shut up.
I can't speak for what it is for freedom of speech in all countries, but here in the United States, we should have, and we generally do have, the freedom of speech to talk about pretty much anything we want to. I mean, within certain limitations. There is always the certain things that you are not allowed to talk about, or you can't say, like, for example, incitement to crime, for example, if you were to say, like, commit a crime or something like that, that's limited by freedom of speech. Also, sedition, that's speech that involves unlawful contact against the government or violent, or violent overthrow of the government. Another one is defamation of character, like libel or slander. Those ones are limited. Now, I can go up to somebody and say, hey, I think you're a douchebag. Or my ex-wife would always say, she'd go up to a cop and say this, say, I think you're a douchebag, or I think you're an idiot. But if I say you are an idiot, then that can be considered slander.
Documented evidence that you are an idiot.
Right.
True.
There's a big confusion about freedom of speech. Like, say, YouTube, for example, is not a freedom of speech platform. We've had this discussion on the show about this lots of times before in the past, where people get their hackles up because someone posts a video and then they take their comments and they get them removed, which is kind of a dick move. I've done it myself in instances, but I am allowed to because that is I've done it for certain reasons. I have my own reasons. I don't do it all the time, and I don't do it very I'm very limited on what pieces I do delete and which ones I let go. But the thing is, I am not limiting their freedom of speech because the simple fact is that channel is mine, as it were. I'm the one that controls it as much as I control the speech in my own house. If you come into my house and say, hey, I think you're an asshole, I can tell you to leave. But the government, in the instance, that's a whole different story. The government can't say, well, Trump is trying to keep the newspapers from being able to report the news, and he keeps saying that they are fake news to try to discredit the news because he doesn't like what they're having to say about them, which is entirely true. Is there probably some people exaggerating stuff about Trump? Maybe. I don't know. But the fact is that you can't say, hey, just because I don't like something, it's fake news. I mean, you can, but who's going to believe you? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And the fact is that he's turning to places like Breitbart for news or Fox News, which has been proven demonstrably bad information.
Well, it has the 8th highest circulation it'll have, you know. Well, the primary reason we have free speech, the First Amendment, is to allow for public criticism of government.
Right.
And that is the thing that is most closely guarded. And the First Amendment protects you from the government trying to deny you your speech, but not anyone else. So with regards to Facebook or with YouTube, it's more like your employer. It's more like, this is a private thing, and so they can regulate it. But is it prudent to do that? Because open discourse is the way that we solve things, the way that we work things out. So yeah.
I like the way that Trump does news conferences. He says, "Okay, next question. Sit down and shut up." CNN, fake news.
Yeah. And today he just had a brief, or he had something, and he excluded CNN, New York Times, and Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, because they're all fake news.
Which is very unusual. Very unusual.
And what was the guy from the BBC? He called on him. He was like, "Where are you from?" BBC. "Oh, this ought to be good."
John, what is it like over in Sweden there? Do you guys have the same freedom of speech doctrine over there, or is your freedom of speech more limited over there, by the way? I'm out of curious, since I'm obviously not in Sweden, so I can't speak to that.
I haven't looked at the laws directly. Like, I haven't looked at the definitions, legal definitions, but not definitions, but I think that it's a little bit more limited. I've heard that, like, if you offend someone, they have the right to, like, you shouldn't offend someone. I think I haven't looked up on that, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I prefer people to say "I don't know" than to say, "Oh yeah, we can talk about anything except for tigers." Sorry, he had a tiger. He has a tiger on his avatar. For our people who are listening on the iTunes.
Cat people unite. Cat lives matter. I'm with you, John.
I'm not bad at cats.
It's okay. I'm sorry. I was just making a joke.
She's just making a joke because
I have an avatar with. I have cats, and I have an avatar with a cat. That's all that was.
So I'm a schmuck, and I got an avatar of a schmuck.
Now I know. Now there are some countries. Now I like I said, I can't speak for all countries. There are some that I do know about, like France, for example, where their freedom of speech is that you can talk about most anything except for that happened in World War II, or you can't deny the Holocaust out there, and I think that's also Germany that says that you can't.
And Austria.
Yeah. In Germany, it's "Don't mention the war."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in Austria, I mean, Hitchens, I just was listening to him, and he was trying to say something about how Austria likes to claim that, they had Beethoven, but not Hitler. And that was the best. Yeah. I think the best part about the last couple of days is I was listening to Hitchens talk about free speech, and he's like, "No, you don't censor it. I mean, it's not just." And here it's a quote. "It's not just the right of the person who speaks to be heard. It's the right of everyone in the audience to listen, to hear. And every time you silence somebody, you make yourself a prisoner of your own action because you deny yourself the right to hear something." Right. In other words, your own right to hear and be exposed is as much involved in all of these cases as the right of the other to voice his or her views. If you censor, it gives you a false security of consensus, which is the thing that I left religion for. That was the thing that made it hard for me. And again, not everybody has to leave a religion, but I'm just saying religion has this blanket narrative, and any kind of group think has this blanket narrative. It's partly what's wrong with SJW movement, saying, well, you can't do this, it's hate speech. And
I stand behind hate speech. I actually do, because the fact is that you may not like it, but you have a right to say it.
That's right. Hate speech and threats of violence are two different things.
Right.
And hate speech is actually protected,
right,
even here, by the First Amendment. Right. And so we should all just grow up and grow a pair and be able to have a discussion. And it's, granted, if somebody wants to yell and wave their hands and throw out epithets, guess what? You're really not going to be heard.
Right. There are some stuff here. I'm sorry, Connie, I didn't mean
go
to
ahead.
break
No,
in.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to dominate. So
now, with free speech does not mean speech without consequence now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you say something, doesn't mean that, hey, I get to say this without repercussions. That's bold-faced bullshit lie.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the reasons why his free speech issue is really kind of in the news, as it were, right now, is a person by the name of Milo Yiannopoulos. because he apparently said some stuff about being at a party, and apparently there were some people who were very young, as he put it, and he was talking about pedophilia. And apparently he said he wouldn't come out with the names, but apparently some of these people were fairly big, I guess. I don't know. But whatever his reasons were, he had to resign, quote unquote, resign from Breitbart. And the fact is Breitbart forced him to resign. At least that's what I've been hearing, is the fact that they kind of forced him to resign. I could be wrong on that. But the fact is that a place like that says, hey, take a hike. That says volumes right there.
Yeah.
Now, and if he has something to say now, and this guy is admittedly a troll. He is a big time troll on Twitter and other places like that, and with Breitbart he was a big troll there, and he would say some very outrageous things just for the attention. If you want attention like that, that's fine, but you know what, that's another half of the coin, or a half of a half, that just because you have something to say doesn't mean that I have to listen to it. I have the option to go turn you off, so I don't have to listen to it.
No,
just like what everybody's doing right now. They're clicking off on our show. We don't want to listen to this free speech shit.
well, but the weakening of any of these laws, if weakens it for everybody. Hitchens was saying that, the weakening of the laws protecting the speech of others, you make a rod for your own back. I don't think that that's what we want. And granted, maybe everybody needs to learn how to be more socially, I don't want to say acceptable in how we present things. It's hard when a discussion is heated, but people want to take it personally, like our pardon my French, our current president, who wants to take everything personally. And I'm like, no, guess what? No, censoring speech doesn't help anybody, because if you have to explore the idea that maybe you're wrong. And the only way you can find out if maybe the ideas you have are wrong is you don't censor ideas. They're just ideas. This is something we should talk about. And, like you said, though, you don't have to entertain everything, but people should be able to just deal with this stuff.
Exactly. Hello, Atheist Ranger.
Hey, what's up, man?
Not too much. Well, we're having a discussion about freedom of speech.
What did Trump do this time?
What has
Trump has been demonstrating his free speech. His free speech should tell you to shut up.
Yeah, he has the right to say it. Doesn't mean we have to do it, though.
Not yet.
No, not yet. I'm waiting for that day.
I love how anytime he's criticized, apparently it's fake news, according to him.
Yeah. Everything is fake news to him, except for places like Fox, Breitbart, shit like that.
Well, I wouldn't care, except that I was supporter after supporter here in the real world who say, yeah, this is what's happening. And they think that he's right. And I'm like, wait, what?
In what fucking universe is Trump right about anything?
Yeah. Now this is
the universe of his mind.
Yeah, this is the same guy who said that in the first 30 days he'd get rid of ISIS. It's been 31, 32 days. ISIS is still there. So
he thought they meant ices, those shaved ice things with all of the rainbow colors in them. Yeah,
all those are out of the White House now. He did that in 30 days. Anyway, back on topic.
I'd agree that he's very ambitious.
Yeah, that would be an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, put it like that.
Trouble is, he's ambitious and completely ineffective.
Yeah.
Very tactfully said, John.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings for this guy.
Well, there some people have that little bromance thing they have with him. They see that trying dribble on his head, and they go, "I just want to pet that. See what happens."
I have mixed feelings too. My feelings are fear and loathing.
I do as well there, Tom.
Are we in bat country? Is that what we're saying?
Didn't he lie about a terrorist attack in Sweden or something? That's what I heard.
Oh, that's where our friend here is from. He's actually from Sweden, actually. I've been talking to this guy from his name he goes by David something. I don't know his full name on Twitter, or I'm not Twitter, on Google Plus there, but he's from Australia, and he says, well, I like Trump, and I'm from Australia. It's like, what does that say? It's like, yeah, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. And he's like, well, the attacks happen there all the time anyway, so he was right postpartum or whatever. And I was like, no, that's not quite right.
Postpartum.
I'm just throwing. We didn't say postpartum. But it's like
No, I'm sorry. That's a funny visual. I'm just like
it's post. It's post ergo hoc fallacy. Like, well, it happened after the fact, so he was right. Why don't you just call him a prophet at that point then?
I'm sorry.
Poor wording on my part, but
No, I'm just off in another world. I had 8 kids, so like postpartum is totally different to me.
True.
It's just as painful, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, talking to some Trump supporters are painful. John, were you saying something there? You kind of popped in there, so I kind of figured I must have walked on top of you. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think there has like Sweden's condition right now is like it's very chaotic. It's like, okay, so there has been a flood of immigration the last couple of years.
Yeah,
and many of the immigrants are like either third world countries or war torn countries where there's like radical Islamists, radical Muslims. Like I'd say that rape and crime has gone up like extraordinarily, and you might say it's just a correlation, not causation. But Swedish statistics and all that, they don't dare to like check if the perpetrators are people of color or if they are from another country.
Well, that's kind of good that they're not looking at it like that. That there's like, okay, well, this crime happened, so we should target these groups. That's profiling, which is it's not a good thing.
I mean, like it's more as if it's people from war-torn countries where radical Muslims who have like commit honor killings. These people come into our country, and it does cause some like turmoil, I'd say.
Okay.
I could imagine there's a little bit of a culture clash going on there. We want to welcome Mitosis to the chat room up here in the thing here. Hello, Mitosis.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Hey, you're welcome. The topic is freedom of speech. Exercise it.
While we are poking at your news, you can poke us at Facebook and Twitter, or poke us with an email at ppapodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a message at 662-709-PPAP. Join us live on YouTube/Packard Pokesat on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time. Be part of the conversation by live chatting with us during the show. Enjoy the show? Help support us by becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/Packard Pokesat. Or look awesome by buying something at cafepress.com/Packard Pokesat. No money, no problem. You can help us by sharing the show with friends and rate us on iTunes and Stitcher. For everyone that shares and rates us, you kick ass.
The Atheists,
the Bible,
and No Wardrobe, the podcast.
Wait a minute. No wardrobe? You mean we're going to be naked while we do this?
Well, seeing how I'm an atheist and I'm reading the Bible, and since clothes are flammable, fire, I thought it might be a good idea to take them all off first.
Naked or not, follow along as we read, analyze, and try to keep you from falling asleep as we go through this boring-ass book.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker. Who knows? We may even be on YouTube someday.
I say that Swedish media, I'd say liberal, but okay, that's kind of irrelevant by this point. But how do I explain? It's very tolerant, but it's tolerant of its own destruction. For example, there are basically this like spree of rapes that is happening around Sweden in ghettos and whatever. Ghettos that are mainly inhabited by people that have views that are, if I'm going to be nice, I'd say unconventional. Were very unacceptable, and not unacceptable, but
they're basically like slum areas, is what you're saying.
Well, where else are they going to live? I mean,
yes, they can. Obviously, they can live, but it's like, as I said, they come from places where they have honor killings.
Right.
Yeah. Now that's the thing about honor killings and things like that. I really find it horrid because there's this political cartoon which has been put out by the right that they try to demonize the people who are on the left by saying they have this, which shows a Muslim guy cutting off the head of a liberal, quote unquote, saying, "Hey, I defend your right to say what you want to the death," and then the Muslim guy that's in the comic goes and says, "Okay, fine, I'll cut," and then cuts his head off as he's doing it. The problem with that particular cartoon that I'm describing there is that your rights end at the tip of your nose, or at my nose, or at anybody's nose at that point.
Or the end of a sword, or the end of violence.
Exactly.
That's not free speech.
That's exactly right. That's
Violence is not. Yeah.
That's why that cartoon that I described is completely wrong, and it's back assward. There are people that are like the SJWs, as Connie was talking about earlier, where they will say, "Hey, don't say this about these people." That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. Like John here, if you don't mind me saying, he's a Christian, and everybody knows here that it follows this show, is I'm an atheist, and John and I have had exchanges back and forth quite a few times. But we both know that the fact is that we wouldn't actually, strike each other, because that would be crossing the line.
Yeah.
I mean, he could block me tomorrow, or I could block him tomorrow. And that's not an impeachment on his freedom of speech, nor mine. It just means, hey, I just don't want to talk to you anymore. And that's well within his rights, or my rights in that instance.
Okay, so what I was going to say, there are some groups that have tried to enforce Sharia law in some areas of some towns in Sweden.
Mm-hmm. Huh? Yeah, go on.
Here?
Yes, we're listening. We're listening, John.
We're listening.
Okay. Sharia law.
Okay, so is someone waking up in the other room? And I think the media, it's not really that they're supporting them, it's more that they're covering up what they are doing. Let's say what they are doing. It sounds strange when I say it like that, but people who come from these countries where they learn these horrible things like honor killings, that women should cover up completely, or it's fair game or like that. Which there are teachings like that in some places. We have seen that type of thing, that they have a lot of gang rapes in Stockholm, in a small town called Malmö in Swedish.
Let me stop you for a second here. These gang rapes that are going on, are these the Muslims that are there? Are they doing this because they think they have a right to do this because of what they believe?
That is their testimony.
Okay, then that's garbage, because that has nothing to do with a right of freedom of any kind. They're impinging somebody else's freedom in that regards. So the fact is that, and I know the Muslims have a low regard for women. They're like right there with camels, which the Bible didn't exist for the good portion of it, but that's another story. But anyway, the fact is that what they're doing there is just piss poor. I want to get somebody else in here to speak. Atheist Ranger and Mitosis, we only have a few more minutes left, so if you guys could, you just want to chime in, please do.
I was going to say, there's something there in the chat. I think obviously free speech ends at the threat of violence as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess I don't understand how religion gets this pass. It's whether it's Islam or any other religion, they get this pass to be able to behave. I'm going to be generous and just call it anti-socially, and that's me giving way more credit than it's due. And that's the.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
No,
I was going to say that. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but ever since I was a little kid, I mean, I was pretty much taught to, tiptoe around religion, and it's until I got older, I said, no, that's bullshit. I'm going to make fun of it.
Yeah. And you have that right. You have that absolute right.
Yep.
And speaking as an atheist, Christians make fun of us all the time, and they're patently bizarre, but they have the right to say it.
Exactly.
And then, like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, there is consequences to that. If you say a thing that is bizarre, then we can make fun of you for saying a bizarre thing.
Yeah, normally free speech is a double-edged sword.
Yes, it is.
You can say what you want, but others can say what they want to you. But
yes.
Religion, you can't speak against religion, so they can say whatever they want, but you're not supposed to say anything back to them.
Right. My Toasters, I haven't heard too much from you. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the conversation?
So I hope this isn't too tangentially related, but earlier, I believe it was Connie, she was talking about how religion is very insular, and like we were just saying, there's a lot of things that you can't really talk about
Right.
when it comes to it, like blasphemy basically. And I think one thing that's very interesting to kind of connect together is this idea that, well, I think that a lot of our communities in general, especially online, are kind of becoming the same way. Like there's becoming a lot of like there's a lot of dogma that's coming out that if you disagree with a little bit of it, you're almost getting the same kind of rabid response as if you would be if you walked up to like a hardcore Christian and you just told them God is dead, dude, move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yes, it's been really I'm sorry, I don't want to dominate, but it's been a dance for the last probably 2 years. And it feels like walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it too. It's like, don't have an opinion, otherwise you might offend somebody. Dude, you have no right to not be offended. You don't have a right to not be offended by what I have to say. I'm not saying you have to hear it, but you don't have a right to not be offended by it either.
Can't we? And even if it's not a matter of right or wrong, can't we just agree to just, that we disagree about something and still?
We can do that. Sometimes I don't.
You see.
Well,
because I'm an asshole.
A lot of religious people think they're there to defend God, and God cannot defend itself. So you can't say anything bad about God because God can't defend itself, and you're there to let you know that you can't offend God.
Right.
As I always say, reality does not give a fuck about your feelings.
Nor does the universe.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, John, you were saying something. Go ahead there real quick there, because we do have to close out the show here shortly.
Okay, define hardcore Christian, because some would call me a hardcore Christian, because mostly because
I've seen your posts. They're not a hardcore Christian. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Like most in Sweden, people don't have like beliefs and views like me, and most people don't have that in Sweden. I'm a younger creationist, and that's highly uncommon in Sweden. Like if it's someone who hasn't really like quote unquote investigated about religion and stuff, actually thought about what they believe, whether they're atheist or Christian or Muslim or whatever, and then they may be a younger creationist, or they may just don't give a fuck. Or if they're Muslim, I don't know. I haven't met that many Muslims. I have met Muslims, but I don't speak with Muslims regularly unless it's with like school. But that's another conversation entirely. I think I just went off track there.
That's okay. That's not unusual. That's not unusual for this show. All right. Well, we do have to get out of here. I want to thank our guests that were able to show up here, and join us again next Friday at 9 p.m. Central Time on youtube.com/PackardPokesat. We'll be having our regular longer show. You're welcome to come in and chat with us in the chat room. If you get a chance, listen to our secondary podcast, The Atheist, the Bible, and No Wardrobe, which you can find on iTunes and Stitcher. No, Stitcher. We got the store. The show is all over the place. Can't remember all the places it's at. So anyway, but we're having a lot of fun reading the Bible, and of course, having our freedom of speech with it. So check that out if you get a chance to, and we'll see you then. This has been Packard Pokesat with Okay, Let's Talk.
And that's a wrap.